Hi guys, it's me, Miss Sam, and for today's lesson, it's going to be a little read aloud, and there's going to be an open-ended question after this reading, and also this is going to be split into two videos or two-part lessons. So it's going to be a part one and a part two, and this is obviously part one of two, just in case if you're lost at all, and so for this reading, it's all gonna be about Roald Dahl and his history and whatnot. And without further ado, let's get started. Roald Dahl by Jill C. Wheeler. Page 4. In Tune with Kids. Roald Dahl is one of England's most famous children's authors. Many of Dahl's 19 children's books have become international bestsellers. The British editions of his books have sold 40 million copies alone. Dahl received hundreds of letters a day from young fans around the world. Dahl got ideas for books and stories from incidents in his life. He frequently wrote his ideas in an old, worn school notebook. He said every story began as a 3 or 4 line note in that book. Once, he even wrote a one-word story idea in the dust of his own car. Dahl wrote just 4 hours a day. He worked from 10 a.m. to noon. Then he worked again from 4 to 6 p.m. He wrote in a tiny brick hut outside his home in rural England. Most of the time, Dahl scratched out his stories in pencil. He sat in an old armchair with a writing board on his lap. He would work on a book for 8 or 9 months. A short story might take 6 months to complete. The rest of the time, he raised livestock and bred greyhounds. He also enjoyed growing orchids and working in his garden. Some people said Dahl's stories were too dark and troubling for children. Dahl disagreed. He said children never complained about his writing. Instead, they giggled and squirmed with delight as they read. Page 6. Rawls Family. Roald Dahl was born on September 13th, 1916, in Llandaff, Wales. Wales is a small country on the same island as England. Roald's father was a successful businessman named Harold. Harold helped people buy and sell ships. Roald's mother was named Sophie. She was much younger than Harold. Both of them were born in Norway. In fact, the Dahl family visited Norway each year. Roald grew to think of Norway as his home too. Harold had been married before he met Sophie, but his first wife had died. Their 2 children, Ellen and Louise, were Roald's half-sister and half-brother. Roald had also 2 older sisters, Astrid and Alfhild, and a younger sister, Elsie. Roald was 4 years old when tragedy struck his family. Astrid died of appendicitis when she was only 7. Harold died 2 months later from pneumonia. Roald's sister, Asta, was born soon after. Sophie found herself caring for 6 young children, all on her own. Page 8. Witch Tales. Young Roald enjoyed playing outside. He liked to watch birds and butterflies. Once he ate a buttercup bulb just to see what it was like. He recalled it tasted very hot. He also used to ride his tricycle so fast that he whizzed around corners on 2 wheels. Roald loved books and stories too. His mother often told tales of trolls and witches. He heard many of these stories on the family summer trips to Norway. Roald listened carefully. He rarely forgot a story once he heard it. Some of Roald's childhood experiences showed up in his writing years later. These included an incident at a local sweet shop. Roald and his friends didn't like the two old women who ran the store. They thought the women were witches. Once the boys hid a dead mouse in one of the candy jars. They were severely punished afterward. Roald's mother sent him to boarding school at age 9. Harold had thought English schools were the best in the world. Sophie wanted to honor his wishes. So, she sent all of the children away to school. Roald went to St. Peter's Preparatory School in Weston-super-Mare, England. Page 10. Scary schools. The staff members at St. Peter's were very strict. Roald recalled there were rules, and still more rules. Students who broke the rules were beaten with a cane. Roald later wrote about his days at boarding school in an autobiography called Boy. However, he admitted he exaggerated certain situations a bit. Roald spent 4 years at St. Peter's. Next, he attended a well-known private school called Repton. The school was in Derbyshire, England. By that time, Roald's mother had moved to London. The new family home was large. It had tennis courts and a ping pong table. Roald much preferred being at home. Repton was even more strict than St. Peter's. The headmaster and some of the older boys beat students who broke the rules. One bright spot at Repton involved a study on chocolate bars. Cadbury used Repton students to help taste test chocolate bars. Roald quickly got hooked. From then on, chocolate bars were one of his favorite treats. Few at Repton would have guessed Roald had writing talent. His final report card said he did not have a good vocabulary. It also said he could not put sentences together very well. Roald said it was no wonder he never thought about becoming a writer until later in life.